I'm Lauren Greci, and you are listening to the Lifestyle with Lauren podcast, the show where we chat all the things: life, motherhood, Jesus, food, beauty, and wellness, and so much more. So grab a hot cup of coffee, kick back, and relax with us. I hope that you find joy, laughter, and encouragement today and every day. Thanks for being here. Hey friends, I'm so excited to have y'all with me today for my conversation with my dear friend, Miss Kim. She and I met through life group at our church, but I'm going to let Kim introduce herself. So Kim, hey, and welcome to the Lifestyle with Lauren podcast.
Hey, thanks so much for having me, Lauren. This is pretty awesome. I'm excited for you with this podcast and everything that you've been doing. So I want to support you in any way.
Oh, thank you. Okay, well, I'm going to let you talk for a moment. Why don't you kind of tell everyone who's listening a little bit about you?
All right. So my name's Kim, and right now I'm a mom of 3, and that's pretty much my title and everything that I do.
Yes, but you also have really exciting news. Your husband is running for what part? District?
He is District 5. He's running for the seat, basically, in Little Elm, so District 5 seat. So that encompasses, I believe, your neighborhood.
Yeah. Oh, we're going to be voting for him for sure. Yes.
I was told, Jeremy told me, he's like, she's in our district. Make sure you tell her to go vote.
You should. You've neglected this whole opportunity. You could have wall-to-wall signage behind you, wearing a t-shirt, having all this stuff.
Yeah. I think we're trying to take a different route, but we're excited about that because, with everything going on with politics and just people are just fighting, and really it just comes down to let's work under the same system and work together to progress and do better, right? Yeah. And so and the thing is, my husband always, what we see is a lot of people talking and complaining, but not a lot of action is taken, even at just a local level. So, and this is a very local level. It's not a political position, which is not what we're looking for. But, it's doing something in the community and trying to bring people together. And really, as Christians, that's what we're called to do, right? Mm-hmm. Be peacemakers, bring people together, do your work. And we've just felt like that was just part of our work that we're called to do. And so, Lord willing, that there's 5 people running for the same position.
Oh my
which
goodness.
They were, I think it was the secretary of the town manager was really shocked when 5 people came to get the application for it, which is really exciting to see at the same time that people are coming out and also trying to do their work. And so, we're praying that the best candidate and the best person gets that position. If it's not us, then we will support whoever is and continue to be part of the community and trying to bring people together in our community.
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
What it's all about.
That's so exciting. I can't wait. What day to vote? Is it bad? I don't know what day it is. When are we supposed to?
May 1st is election day, but you can vote before.
Early.
There's early voting.
Okay. I am making a note to myself to go vote for early voting.
Early voting. Yes. I told my husband, because May 1st, I think I have a baby shower. He's like, why on that day? I was like, I'm sorry. It was literally the only Saturday I could do it until after July.
Oh.
So I was like, I'm so
That's
sorry.
exciting though.
It'll be good.
Yeah. Okay.
So we're just kind of waiting and seeing. He's having a lot of conversations, and we're just talking with people, and we're just trying to get the lay of the land and talk to people who are in charge and just be really open about communication and what our goals are.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm excited for you guys. This is an awesome opportunity. So
we're excited too. And it's nice to have contacts because we're so far away from the main center of Little Elm. It's so nice to have contacts in other parts of our district, because
Yeah.
we are so far away. We are not asking for donations to help with his, I guess, campaign,
Yeah.
if you want to call it that. So we're just kind of doing it, just by talking to people and having conversations like this.
I love it.
We were going to do some door knocking with the kids, because there's a Del Webb in our neighborhood, and that's the majority of people who vote are 55 and older. A lot of our generation, millennials, because you're a millennial, I know you are, because I'm at the very, very start of it, and I know you're a little younger than me.
No, I am not younger than you.
No?
No, I'm 37.
Well, you're still a millennial.
I'll be 38 this year.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so you're right there with me then. Right at the very, very start of it. So, like, even our generation, like, what's next? Gen X? Is that right? Gen X?
Yeah, I think so.
There's
right?
not a whole lot of them
Yeah.
voting, and we need our generation to vote.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think too, thankfully, I think with recent events, it's made people realize how important it is to vote, and whichever way you want to go and take that, but our voice matters, and we need to use it, and we need to, that's why we are a democracy. That's why we are the free United States, because we get to vote for who we want to run our country. But then we also need to, like the Bible says, to respect who is in authority as well.
Sometimes it's harder than others to do.
Oh yeah,
but yeah,
absolutely.
I agree. I do agree. Yeah. And that just comes into play. Like, if you're wanting a change, like you have to really step up and be that change. It doesn't have to be on a big scale. Like, we also are in the PTA. And that's like a big deal for us, to be part of that community and know what's going on in the school. And we have constant conversations with our teachers and our principals. And they're very open with us when we have our meetings. And so, just being in the know and how can we help and how we can support.
Right. You and I, how long have we known each other now?
Like, we've lived
4 years.
Yeah, it's been about that, because we started going to church right after we moved here.
And so we know each other from life group, but we do the women's Bible studies, within our life group as well. And you and I feel like we just kind of have a special kinship with our history and how we grew up and just personal stories and stuff. And I glean from you so much. I think I've shared this with you, that a lot of times when we're talking scripture and you share something, it really just makes me go, aha, like, yeah, that's, I don't know. I learned so much from listening to you. So I am so grateful to have you as a friend.
I feel the same exact about you. We feed off each other. That's what fellowship is for.
Exactly. I know.
So great.
And then I finally was able to, I went back to church this past Sunday and got to see you face to face, and it was so good to see you.
I saw you and I was like, what?
I know. She's come out of her shell. She emerges.
Right?
The COVID shelter. I know.
It was so good to see you in person and give you a hug. Oh my
goodness. It was so good. And I will be back there next Sunday.
Yay.
And yeah, it's going to be fun. Okay. So let's talk a little bit. Let's talk about your childhood, and let's kind of go there. Like, what was your walk with the Lord like as you were a child?
Yeah. So I did grow up going to church. It was a Sunday thing for us, it's a Sunday Christian thing. It really wasn't brought into our home a whole lot unless we were praying before like a Thanksgiving meal or something like that. Even at Christmas, it was very much more of a worldly aspect on Christmas. But I'm grateful in many ways that my parents really enforced the practice of going to church, and that I was able to take that with me to college. Because honestly, without that and me being able to grow my faith as I grew, I would have been totally lost and just, probably blowing with the wind, basically. So even though it wasn't what I would hope for like my kids, it it was a starting point.
Mhm.
In our youth group, I went to a very small church. Our youth group, I mean, my lifelong friends were from that youth group. We spent 2 weeks in Missouri together every year, you know, water skiing and wakeboarding and doing all kinds of stuff on the Lake of Ozarks. And that was just an unforgettable time where I learned what devotionals were. And mind you, this is like high school, right?
Yeah.
Youth group high school. I really learned how to dig into the word and like how to pray and how to worship. And so I owe a lot to just our youth minister for bringing that into our lives, and it just kind of grew from there, and not to say that I didn't ever, have hard times or rough times or fall back away from my faith, because I feel like everybody who is in this Christian faith has done that, and probably with any faith. And that's just a real life struggle. But as I've gotten older, I really feel like, and everybody says this, in your 30s, you really, really find yourself.
Mhm.
And I have found that to be so true.
Yeah.
Just in my faith alone, and just in my self-reflection, just really truly finding who I am. What do I truly believe? And why I believe it.
Mhm.
And so I do a lot of analyzing. And
If you like what you're listening to today, make sure you subscribe wherever you get your podcasts so you never miss an episode. As you heard, Kim's husband, Jeremey, is running for Town Council Place 5, and I know I will personally be voting for him. They are a Christian family full of values that I support and would love to see in my community. To learn more about Jeremey's campaign for Little Elm District 5, please visit his website at electjeremylukas.com. That's ElectJeremyLukas.com. Yes. So how old are your kiddos? Tell everyone their ages.
Okay, so Kayla just turned 8, Emma is 5, and Carter is 3. So they're all pretty much 2 years apart.
Yeah.
Because the younger two turn 6 and 4 in May. So yeah. What was I thinking? I keep thinking that, like, I love they're older now, so they're a little bit more self-manageable. But I was just like, if I would have just had like one more year, because those baby years, the first 2 years we were here, I really, really struggled with Carter being so young, and then the other two. That was hard for me, and looking back, I have 3 healthy, beautiful babies, and I wouldn't trade that for anything. But yeah, I was glad to have my sister here at that point, for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely hard. And I don't think people always talk about it, because at least for me, the infant, like newborn, that first month is just glorious most of the time, unless you have a colicky baby or a baby with reflux or something. But
Yeah.
for the most part, especially those first 2 weeks, they're so sleepy and they just cuddle, they just like eat and sleep. It's like the best. You're like, this is amazing. And you kind of get this inflated, like, this is going to be incredible. And then life hits and they wake up, and then you are drowning for a while. Yeah. I think and even our marriage, I think Stephen and I, our hardest time was within, I think, like months 3 through 9, I think were probably the most challenging for the first go. Because again, I was a teacher and I taught 5th graders. I taught like 500 kids, not all at once, but, through the years, and constantly talking, obviously. And then I was home with a baby and nothing else.
Nothing else. And you're like, can I please just get a nap?
Yeah. And you're exhausted. Your hormones are crazy. Your body's trying to heal. Like, you just pushed a child out of your body, or, however it came out of your body. So it's new. And everything, I think, too, with your first child is, it's all new and it's all kind of scary. Like you don't want to mess up and you don't want to make a mistake, and everything seems so heightened. Like the first food, it's like such a big deal. Like, what are we going to feed them? What are we going to do? And then the second child, third child, fourth, you're kind of like, you get more relaxed as you go, you know?
The third one, you're like,
whatever you find on the floor, child, that's what you can have.
Mosquitoes on the floor. Good for a week, but it's okay.
Yeah. They want a snack in the car and you're like, lift up your seat. What you got under there?
Right?
Not really. Y'all listening? We are good parents. We are good mothers.
I actually have a snack pile in my car to just throw back.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
yeah, you are a smart mother.
And then, like in Carline, I make Carter. I have a little handheld vacuum that I charge in my house. I take it.
Nice.
And I make him, he's 3, and he vacuums my car in Carline when I'm going to pick up the other kids, because I'm just like, you are so messy. I cannot deal.
And they love doing that stuff, though. They love to like be a helper, and especially little vacuums like that. I think it's the noise and the like watching things get sucked up into the vacuum. It's like so entertaining. Yeah. I
got that for their Christmas gift 2 years ago. All 3 of them got that from me. Like, don't you dare ever buy mommy a cleaning product or cooking product. I will buy them for you.
Yes, absolutely fine. Stephen did that once, which I do love what he gave me, but I had a little handheld vac and he gave it to me for, I forget what, it was like Christmas or birthday or something. And I was like, are you serious? Like, you just gave me a vacuum? Like,
bought it randomly.
Yes. Now, I mean, this is before kids too. Now as a mother, I think I would be a little more excited about it and be like, oh, okay, this is, now it's like.
Buy it for the kids.
Yeah.
They're the ones who are going to be using it.
Right. Do you mind taking a moment? I want you to chat about your youngest son, because you shared with me the birth story of him. Would you be willing to kind of talk about that for a minute?
Sure. So yeah, Carter, he's 3. He'll turn 4 in May. He actually was born in caul, which is E-N-C-A-U-L. Jeremy had to spell it to me the first time I heard it, because I was like, what are you saying? I am not understanding. Spell it for me so I can get a layout in my head what this looks like. And supposedly it's like 1 in every, I want to say 300,000 natural births is how often it happens. And then it's more often when there's a C-section. So I know, like, not Halle Berry. There was an actress who had a C-section, and her Harper is her youngest or her oldest.
Okay.
You know,
it sounds familiar.
Jessica Alba.
Yes. Okay.
Supposedly Jessica Alba, one of her children, was born in caul. Anyway, so there's like this omen. Okay, so I'll tell you what it is, and then I'll tell you about the omen. So the baby is born in their sac. So I had a natural birth with, I'm drawing a blank. What's the shot you get?
An epidural. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I say natural birth, but I did have an epidural.
Yes.
So it's really not really that natural.
Yes. The way the baby came out was the natural exit.
The natural way. Anyway. So yeah, he was completely born in the sac, right? And so they always ask you, do you want a mirror? I'm like, I don't want to see nothing that's going on down there, because that's going to freak me out.
Yeah.
Well, the nurse and the doctor were like, oh, and I was like, I seriously was having a heart attack. I was like, what's happening? Like, please tell me what's happening. And they were just so like, they couldn't speak. And so when she finally did tell us, she didn't even show me like the baby. And I'm like, why would you not show me the baby? She's like, she asked Jeremy, she's like, hey, come look at this. And I'm like, show me the baby.
Yeah.
I need to see it. So I missed the whole thing, but Jeremy got to witness it, which I'm so glad at least one of us did.
Yes.
And I was telling the nurse, get him here, show me something. And she's sitting over there looking for a mirror, but it was too late, because the doctor had already unveiled, they call it an unveiling the baby, where they take the sack and they pull it over the baby's head. She could have left him in that sack for like a minute and he would have been fine.
Yeah.
But I'm sorry, I'm a little resentful of the whole situation. would have been so cool to see, like,
Yeah.
just that whole thing. But anyway, so there was an unveiling, and Jeremey got like the last 3 seconds of the unveiling. So I do have 3 seconds of it.
Oh.
That's it. But supposedly it was really cool, and
I like how you keep saying supposedly. Supposedly it was cool.
I experienced it, but I also did not experience it.
Uh-huh.
So supposedly my water didn't break either. The water came out intact.
Oh my gosh.
Which is really strange to me that I don't know how that happens. So all the nurses are calling in other nurses. Like, oh, what's happening? But yeah, I mean, and so Jeremey's like, of course, Mr. Research. So after all this happened, he's like looking up and reading and, gathering wisdom and, and telling me all about it. And there's an omen that they're destined for greatness. And they also love water, which is very true with Carter. So I had to be very careful with him. And I'm glad I knew that fact, which I think all kids love. They're naturally drawn to water, like swimming pools and bathtubs, and they just want to play in water all the time. But it made me very cautious with him, especially when he was really, really young.
Yeah.
And even now, because he doesn't know how to swim yet. But they say Jesus was also born in caul. So that's special.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, that is such a cool story that, I mean, for your last child?
Definitely last.
Yes. Yeah. No, to have that.
That's it for us. Yeah. I swore I would never have 3, and here I am 3. There was no way I was going to have a 4th. So
yeah.
I'm just ready for them to be teenagers, which is, I know it's really weird. It's weird for me to say. And I think it's really weird for people to hear, because they're like, why are you on teenagers? But
yes,
I'm like, we get to do so much. I'm excited. I'm just like, that's also why I like try to stay fit, is because I want to do all these things with my kids. Right? Do all the fun. And we camp. Like we're camping. Yeah. So we're hiking and rock climbing and kayaking and all kinds of stuff. Whatever.
So you met your husband, y'all have 3 kids, and then now I feel like y'all are very involved in the church too, and y'all give back a lot. And obviously your husband is running for council for the purpose of like wanting to be the change and wanting to make a difference and stuff. But talk about what is there a moment in your life that really stands out the most to you, of like a moment when you just really needed to rely on God and felt that he was there and he was carrying you through it?
Yeah, I would say the most recent time that has happened was our move here. Because he started working. So Jeremey works for Spring Free Trampoline, and he was the head of the Houston area. So he was manager over that area, and they wanted to promote him, and like he wasn't even there very long. I want to say we were in Houston for about 2 years, and in that 2 years, was it 2 years? Let's see. Sorry, I have to calculate because I got to figure out how old my kids were. No, it was longer than 2 years. Kayla was 6 months when we moved from Midland. So we were in West Texas for 11 years. She was 1. Well, she was 6 months. It's when we moved to Houston. And Carter was born, and then we left. And he was 6 months when we left. Oh, I just thought about that. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
So yeah, we were there for a lot longer than 4 years. Or 2 years, or however long I said. My math skills are not that great.
Sorry. And you also have 3 children, and that definitely messes up time frames of everything.
My time warp is a true thing with a mommy.
Oh yes.
So yeah, we were there for a while. He had started his own business because he was working with the minor league team out in West Texas for a while. Came to Houston, started his own business, started working with some of the big teams out there, and some of the water parks and stuff. And he was like, hi, there's this job application, and I don't know, I'm gonna kind of see where this goes. It looked promising, but he was doing well, but this was, again, just like so God, because with everything that has gone on, there's no way, especially with sports, there's no way we would have been sustainable on his income with the sporting industry, with what he was doing with them. There's absolutely no way, because their revenue was shot, especially this year. And so we would have lost like everything. And I mean, and this is like, 6 years prior, that he is just building us up to the point where we're at now. That he just kind of had an inkling, like, well, we'll kind of check it out and see where it goes, and we'll interview and see what the company's about. Because we've been at companies where they weren't about family values and Christian values, and it was hard to continue working in those kind of places. And he always puts 100% in what he does, and he always brings his values and his honesty to his job, no matter what. But when you have a boss who's not doing the right things, it's hard to stay in that. And so, we've been through that, but he really wanted to vet out this company before we decided to kind of phase out. He still has his company, but he wanted to kind of phase it out and really get something more solid for us. And I stopped teaching when Emma was born, so I haven't been teaching, which I'm like a little nervous to go back to, because the kids have changed so much. I'm just so out of the loop. So I'm like, where's that Urban Dictionary, right? Like everything. But when he did, we prayed and prayed and prayed about him taking this job, and he was over the whole Houston market, and that was a big deal, and he's been like, he was GM or assistant GM of a minor league baseball team, so he's been in leadership before, and he's managed people well and always done a really great job at what he does. We really prayed about it because this was a big change for us. And God just said, I'm providing you this, do it. That's really kind of the conclusion that we came to. We really felt that it was on our hearts. And so he took the job, and it has been amazing. Like, this company, Spring Free, we couldn't ask for better people to work with. And I say we because like he works for them and gets a paycheck from them, but it's more than that. And so we feel like that's our work family. And like, I know almost everybody he works with, and I listen to some of the chats that his boss does, and it's so amazing to hear the owner of a company praying for his employees, encouraging them with the word, recommending books for them to read, to expand their personal and professional, well-being. And that is just, it's been really great. Yeah. So we were in Houston, and of course he was doing a great job, because that's just Jeremey. He always seems to get promoted wherever he's at, which I look up to him with that, because I see so many qualities that other people see in him. I'm like, how could you not get promoted? You put so much effort, and he is so unique and literally the smartest person I know. Yeah. I mean, he is just so borderline genius with his ideas and his way to work things out that I've never experienced that with somebody else. And it's just really like, how could people not promote you, basically? Right. So they had kind of talked to him about moving out to Dallas, and I was like, oh, okay, yeah, sure, maybe in like 5 years, right? Well, they ended up promoting him like a year after they had even mentioned it. And like, we were with my parents there, and we were getting settled. We had just started building a house in the area. And we were just like, wait, what's happening? We just put on our down payment. We picked everything out, which
Right.
I'm not an interior designer. And so in a way, I'm kind of glad that's not, again, another thing I'm not good at. Interior design. But we were just like, oh my gosh. So that was like a really major decision because I was leaving my parents, like my whole help force, right, with the kids. And at that point, I was already staying at home and I just had Carter. And so I have 3 little ones, right, under the age of like, well, how old was like 4 and under. And I'm like, oh, what am I doing? I had all my friends there. The friends I grew up with were there. We would go out once a month and see each other. I mean, I had made some really good relationships. We found a great church home. And I was like, oh, I was just getting settled.
Right.
you know? But it's just so interesting how God does that. And he's like, but I have something better for you. And in the time you don't see it. And I wasn't angry. I cried a lot because you don't know the unknown.
Right.
So there were a lot of tears, but we talked and we prayed and we talked and we prayed. And we didn't let anybody else make our decision for us. So we didn't tell anybody. I didn't even tell our parents that it was on the table because we didn't want anybody's influence in our decision making. And I'm not saying that's right for everybody. I just feel like when we make decisions, sometimes I will go ask some other fellow Christians on advice and maybe weigh out pros and cons. And I'll do that. But I didn't feel at that time I had kind of that guidance from anybody. So we were just like, we're just gonna really pray about this and take guidance from God. And if he's putting this on the table for us right now, that may be where we need to go. So we waited before he answered, and we finally said, okay, well, we're gonna go. They want to promote you, and the corporate office is out in Dallas for the United States. So I was like, I mean, at least it's not in like, Indiana or something, somewhere like way far away. Yeah. So we were okay with it. And it's so funny. My sister had just moved to Dallas. She had literally just moved to Dallas with her 3. No, she had 2 kids at that point. And she was staying with my mom. Wow. And her husband was kind of tying up loose ends in Lubbock because they were moving from Lubbock. And I looked at my sister and I was like, we're moving to Dallas? And she's like, oh, great, me too.
Oh, that's so great.
I was like, are you serious? She's like, oh yeah, because her husband was like, about Houston, but he was like, I'll move to Dallas. Yeah. So she knew instantly that that's where they were going to go to. So we moved, and then within 6 months they were here as well. Wow. So that was a really my parents were not happy.
Yeah.
Yeah. They were not happy at all. But
and that's why they moved here, right? Was to be closer to y'all.
I mean, they have all of their grandkids here. So, why wouldn't they? They're all 3 of their kids are here with all their grandkids. Like, why wouldn't they move here? And so it's not, you're still in Texas, like not that different. Yeah. They love it here.
Oh, that's good.
And so they're right behind us, pretty much.
Hey friends, what you're hearing right now is a small portion from my Patreon episode this week. If you want to join the Patreon community to hear this entire episode, get some cool swag, and so much more, head over to patreon.com/lifestylewithlauren. That's patreon.com/lifestylewithlauren. Thanks, friends. It's amazing when we trust God that, he does know what's best for us, even in those moments where it's hard and challenging, or we don't see what's going to come. We don't see the plan that he has for us, but yeah, just saying yes and trusting that he does know what's best for us. It's always going to be the best choice.
It's probably been our biggest leap of faith was that move for sure.
Yeah.
and then just little leaps along the way,
Right.
which I'm sure everybody has. It's been a great experience, and honestly, I have better, more fulfilling relationships here than I ever did in Houston.
Wow.
I There's more fulfillment in our church and our life team.
Mhm.
I mean, in every aspect that we're involved in, it has just really come together to where we never even go back and question it.
Mhm.
Like it's just like we're meant to be here. We're supposed to be
Yeah.
here. So it's really cool to look back and reflect on that anxiety that you have. Like,
Mhm.
man, I have all these kids now and I have to
Right.
move again.
Yeah. But I like what you
Yeah.
did too, is that y'all, not only did you just wait and make your choice with thinking things through, but you prayed. That was the very first thing you said you did, is that y'all prayed and you prayed and prayed and prayed. And so you
Right.
asked God to guide you and to lead you. And then you listened and you waited for
Yeah.
his voice or for his leading. And,
Mhm.
it's pretty amazing. I'm
There
so
was
glad
no
you're
way
here.
I was gonna make that move to Dallas without praying, girl.
Yeah.
I was leaving everything I knew,
Yeah.
and I've done that before. But
Mhm.
when you have
But when
kids
you have
in
kids,
tow,
hmm
it's different.
yeah,
So yeah, there was no way we were gonna go around that without making sure this is what God was intending for us. Because there are opportunities that come your way that
Mhm.
aren't intended,
Right,
to be your path. And some of those weightier options you have to really discern and listen. And it is a waiting game sometimes. Like,
hmm
sometimes God gives you the answer right when you ask, sometimes he doesn't.
yeah,
I think patience is something I've had to learn
yeah.
pretty bit.
There was, and what you just said made me think about. I did if gathering a couple of weeks ago, and I have like pages upon pages of notes. And I don't know, I'm sure I wrote it down and I just not going to be able to find it here. And who said it? That's mainly what I was trying to look up here. But it was saying basically like, if God gave you that job, he's not going to let you fail. It's like he put you there for a reason. Like trust, just
Yeah, just
believe
trust,
and know it.
do your
Yeah.
work.
Yeah.
That's part
Don't
of it
waver.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think too often people will solely be like, oh, well, if God wants me to be healed, or, this is an extreme case, then he'll
Right.
just heal me. And I'm like, well, he kind of also gave us the brains to have medicine and care
Mm-hmm.
and to be able to take care of ourselves. So there is an aspect of self-responsibility too that
Right.
he expects from us. Like,
Right.
he gave Adam all the animals, but Adam had to do work. Like,
Mm-hmm.
he had a job to do.
Right.
Name them, look after them,
Mm-hmm.
all of that stuff. So yeah, definitely there's a lot I feel in our 30s that I've just realized in that aspect of
Mm-hmm.
making sure that I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
Take responsibility for, not just my family and my community. You're part of something that's greater than you, and you have a responsibility. And really, our ultimate goal is to spread the gospel
Right.
through anything that we do.
Mm-hmm.
And so, through those avenues God gives you, you have to do your work. You
Absolutely.
know, and that doesn't mean like banging people over the head with the Bible or scripture, but
Right.
you have to be a forefront for people to see so
Mm-hmm.
that they can see God in you and in your life. If you're behind everybody, that's going to get you nowhere,
Yes.
right?
Absolutely.
They have to be out there. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes that's really hard for people who are introverted and
Yeah.
shy, but
Mm-hmm.
even just, informal relationships, I
Right.
think, can
Yeah.
get you, God can work through that.
Yeah, it's not always standing on a podium or being the
Oh,
loudest.
no.
It's, working with who you have and right where you are. And
Right.
yeah, absolutely. Using the talents that God has given you and using those for his glory. I think,
Yeah.
he's given us all special talents, and just finding ways to use. If you're a speaker, then speak. If you play music, let your music worship the Lord. If you
Yeah.
are a preschool teacher, preach to the kids, like talk to the kids. It's
Yeah.
Yeah. And building those relationships and having friendships, I think, is the biggest way to talk
for
about
sure.
God,
It's always my prayer is to let the Holy Spirit soften the hearts around me. And I pray that I'm never a hindrance, even though I know I have been to many people in the past. And, you reflect on those things and you learn and grow and you try to do better. Nobody's perfect. People are always going to make mistakes.
Right. Yeah. And it kind of goes back. It makes me think about when you were talking about Instagram and just being real and authentic. And that's part of it, is that I think sometimes, especially in the church, and I actually just had this conversation with somebody else about that people think that the church is just like one way, or that you have to be perfect to go to church, or you have to know all the things to go to church, or you have to dress a certain way to go to church. And that is absolutely not true. Like, we are sinners and we are hypocrites sometimes. Sometimes we say stuff and then we're like, oh, wait, as it's coming out of my mouth going, okay, that's not right. That's not biblical. And then we check ourselves, right? And we ask for forgiveness, and we are constantly working on ourselves to be more like Jesus. And we are all a work in progress every single day, Well, and we're also in a society that glorifies self work and like, I'm enough, I can do this, I don't need anybody else. That's the biggest thing, I think, too.
But you do.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, like, he's the only one that can carry you through it all. I mean, through any trials and tribulations, even if you never experience a horrible thing yet, you will one day. We all experience someone that we love will pass away. Somebody that we love will, hurt us. But not having God to lean on, I can't even imagine how hard that is. Like, it's like, once you accept Jesus is your Lord and Savior, that he died on the cross for your sins, it's like this huge weight gets lifted off your shoulders. It's like, you don't have to carry your sins anymore. You don't have to carry your past burdens. You don't have to carry the anxieties and the fear, because we rest knowing that he knows what's best for us and that he is always going to take care of us, because he's the good father,
Right. Yeah.
It's
better than any earthly father could ever be.
Right. Oh yeah, absolutely.
And even though we are saved and we do have that faith, we still have to remind ourselves that, because I know I struggle with, pretty much every woman I know struggles with anxiety.
Oh yes.
And fear of the unknown, and just constant daily stuff gets you bogged down.
Oh yeah.
Right. But we have to remind ourselves, like, we are to give those burdens to God. We're not supposed to carry them alone. Right. Because he doesn't want us to be independent of him, right? That's the purpose of the relationship.
Right.
Like, just like your husband. Don't work independently of your husband. You work together.
Right.
That's what makes a healthy relationship. Well, it's the same with God. That's why he calls it the bride and the bridegroom, right? He's making an analogy to that kind of relationship you're supposed to have with your spouse.
Right.
So, and it's easier said than done, for sure, even in a marriage.
Oh yeah.
Sometimes it's just easier to just do it yourself.
Yeah.
Do it the right way.
Yes. And there are so many instances once you have babies in that will.
Oh my goodness.
I'll do
it. And then it's like, you're so stressed out because you're trying to do everything.
Yes. Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But I think too, and it depends on the type of woman and how you're wired and stuff too, but it has always been a struggle for me to ask for help. Yeah. That is definitely, and it took, my sweet mother-in-law every single time, ask for help. I'm like, I can't. It's not me. I just can't ask for help. Right. I will literally, wear myself out and make myself sick before I ask somebody for help. I've gotten much better over the years, but that is definitely a struggle that I have to fight every single day, to just say, you know what, I can't do it all, and I can't do this, and I'm going to need somebody to help.
You can't do it all.
Yeah.
As much as we try, it just, something's got to give, right? So if we try to do it all, something's, and I usually notice I start snapping, right? And it's never anybody outside of my house. It's always the people inside my house that I'm snapping at.
Yep.
So I get very snappy sometimes, but
me too. Well, Kim, this has been so much fun. I know we've already been talking plenty long. I could keep talking with you forever and ever and ever. But at the end of every conversation, I ask each guest 3 questions. What are you reading? What are you loving? And what's making you laugh? So let's start with, what are you reading? Would you do me a favor? Would you subscribe to the show by clicking that subscribe button wherever you're listening? It makes a huge difference for the Lifestyle with Lauren community. I would also love for you to share this show with a friend. I know some of you found this show because a friend recommended it to you. So thank you for listening and being here, subscribing, liking, and sharing, and showing all of your love and support. Thank you. Music was provided for the show by Matt Bowen, and I'm your host, Lauren Greci. Now let's jump back into the conversation.
I actually brought my books in here because I read your email. So I just finished So You Want to Be Like Christ. I'm gonna give you.
Yes, I want to say that was on my book list.
Charles Swindoll. This man has made me love the Bible so much. Like, yes. I first started his when I first started coming to church, we did the Daniel study on Wednesday nights. I was just like, I've never like really detailed studied Daniel. And then we went to Revelation. And I was just like, what?
Yes.
Like I fell in because they're so tight. Like one's in the Old Testament and one's in the New Testament. Like how are those tied together? And now that we're going through Matthew, I'm like, I learned that. And reversed it. Like, I love how the Bible just connects itself together. It's just like, it's so
yes. Have you read The Daniel Dilemma?
I haven't, no.
Okay, I just finished that one. And at the very end, he was talking about, again, connecting Revelation with Daniel and saying how too that we are the only, I don't know, you might know this more, but we're the only generation that is fully experiencing everything that Revelation is saying of the coming of the Lord. Like all the things that, you know, they say this is going to happen, this is going to happen. Like we're the only generation that everything is happening at once.
That's so crazy. I have heard about like the trying to rebuild the temple type of thing. Because I think Saddam Hussein was trying to rebuild or Babylon. Yeah, Babylon was going to get rebuilt. And he was like collecting artifacts and like, you know, trying to rebuild some of that city. I was just like, what? And that was in the 80s, so long ago. But I'll have to read that because that kind of stuff is really interesting, you know. And as a Christian, you have hope through all of that, so you can look at it and just be like, it's happening, but we're saved. And I mean, my heart goes out to people who aren't saved. That's why we do our work, right?
Absolutely.
It's to spread that gospel and spread that love. Because we don't, you know, just like God, we don't want anybody to perish and be thrown out of his presence forever. Like, how horrible would that be? Like, to be away from all goodness. I can't imagine.
For eternity.
Not
just for like a day or like this is
I really
eternity.
And so, but I just, his writing, it's so profound and I mean, I'm not some in-depth scholar. I don't know a lot of theology, but he brings so much of that into it. And I'm just like, I absolutely love it because I want to be able to read scripture, know the basis behind it, you know the meaning of these, the original intent of these like Greek or Hebrew words, right? That really gets me going is like, I want to know the original intent of what these words are. Because some of them have so many meanings, right? And he brings that in there with a lot of theology and background and just information. And he ties things. And so anyway, that I did with the Bible study, which was awesome, by the way. And I also read the Get Out of Your Head, which I know they're having a Bible study. I
love that one.
That was really good. So I don't have a whole lot of time to read. So when I do, I try to make it productive. Because Mama, I don't get to read during the day because I don't ever sit. This was also great.
How to talk. I have that on my Kindle. I'm glad you mentioned that because I need to probably finish
I
reading that.
also brought it back out recently because I have to reference to it quite a bit.
Okay, say the title again.
Really good techniques in here.
Yeah, say the title again. How to talk
so little kids will listen, and it's by Joanna Faber and Julie King.
Okay.
So good. It's a little bit long, but a lot of her stuff is kind of repetitive in her techniques, but she also has these pages where if you just go to the end of the chapter, it just gives you like bullet points.
Nice.
Like, yes. So I reference those.
Okay. Yeah.
I've read it, but I reference those quite a bit.
Yeah.
And then Matlock came to our church, and I bought his book. I mean, who doesn't need a little more wisdom, right?
Yes, absolutely.
I mean,
so raising wise children. Okay, so that's what you're reading. What are you loving? And again, loving could be absolutely anything. Your favorite tea, coffee, clothes, books, anything. Shows.
So I'm loving camping with my family.
Good.
We're doing a Colorado trip every summer now, which I'm so like, I want to live there.
Yes.
I'm such a mountain girl. I didn't know this until my 30s.
Yes. Like, what is making you laugh?
Yeah, just random things through the day. But there's this comic. Have you heard of It's called Hedger Humor.
No.
Oh my gosh, you.
Okay.
Just about a mommy life.
Oh, yes.
And it is so extremely accurate and hilarious at the same time. You're like, that just happened to me today. And you're like cracking up about it. But she's a cartoonist, so she does like comic strips. Sometimes I'll get stuck on Facebook, but sometimes I really get stuck on her website. It's just like, what else can I read? It's just so funny, and just it kind of like makes you realize I'm not alone in this. You know?
What is the name of it again?
Hedger Humor, Hedger Humor.
Well, Kim, cool. I love you so much, friend, and I'm so grateful for this conversation and chatting with you.
Me too. I always love talking to you.
Yes, same here. Well, thank you so much again for doing this. Thank you for listening to the Lifestyle with Lauren podcast. If you liked what you heard today, please subscribe, comment, leave a review, and share with your friends. Thank you so much. Music was created for the show by Matt Bowen, and I'm your host, Lauren Greci. I'll be back here next week with another wonderful conversation. Thanks for listening today. Bye, friends.